Hello, everybody. Welcome to a live product research demonstration. I have a spare 10 or 15 minutes or so this evening. So I thought, what better way to spend it than to help you guys do your product research by doing a live demonstration. I get these requests quite frequently from people that are in the Facebook groups, that watch me on YouTube and so on. People always say it's really helpful to watch somebody that has done a lot of product research do product research. So that's what we're going to be doing this evening. So there are tons and tons of different methods to discover product ideas. But the one that I'm going to be doing in this lesson, or in this video rather, is what is quite frequently referred to as the Store Radar. So the Store Radar is a product discovery method where you essentially find a product and then start looking at what other products that same seller is selling. And then you go through the usual product research steps of checking sales demand, the competition in the niche, saturation, and so on and so on. So let me show you how to go about that. You might not be familiar with that method. So the first thing you'll need to do is head to Amazon, whichever platform or marketplace that you want to sell in. I'm going to do it in amazon.co.uk. And the first thing you'll need to do is just type in a product idea that you've already got. So I'm going to type in posture corrector, my beloved posture corrector. Type it in, and we're not going to be looking at this niche yet. We're not going to be looking at this niche in detail because I already know it's very saturated. But what we're doing is using it as a stepping stone to start finding other products. So let me show you the Store Radar method. So you load the niche that you've thought of. You then load a listing that's got quite a lot of reviews because it will indicate that that seller is pretty well established, pretty well experienced within Amazon, and probably has other products for you to have a snoop at. So we're going to load this listing here. And then what you want to do is where it says sold by down here, you want to click into that. And once that's loaded, you'll then see some of the high level details of the person selling that product there. What's interesting is that that listing has got thousands of reviews, but this seller in particular has only got 82 pieces of feedback, which might indicate that they are a hijacker and it's not actually their original product. But in any case, what you'll do is click through into the products by clicking here where it says products. You can press see all products currently offered by the seller. So we can see that's loaded. It's just loaded 2 products here, which was the posture corrector and then a toilet brush. I'm not going to look at the toilet brush niche. I was hoping I would find something a bit more exciting. That is a low price product as well, £6.99. It's probably not worthwhile. Let's have a look at another one. I'm just going to see if I can see. Here we go. I was looking for this particular listing here because I have a bit of previous knowledge previous to this exercise anyway. That means that I know that these guys will have a lot of products, and that's because this brand was acquired by a aggregator a few years ago. So a big investor that was buying a bunch of brands, and I know that because I know of the guy that sold it. So again, we click into the listing. We can see it's got tons of reviews. So if these guys are the original vendors, they'll probably have a lot of products. There's a clue that it is the same person because it says Meditro in the brand title, and it also says Meditro here. So we'll click into that. We can see Meditro again. And that's interesting. This says Meditro retail still, which implies that the aggregator doesn't own it anymore. Interesting. But in any case, look, we've just clicked through, haven't we? We've raided the store, and we can now see a number of different products also being sold by this seller, which is giving us some ideas for other niches to explore. Now, you might be getting all excited at the different products that we've just come across and thinking, do we now explore each of those individually? What I would recommend that you do before clicking through into each of those and getting lost is run Helium 10. And if you don't have Helium 10, I really encourage you to get it. I have a discount code, which you can use. It's at the bottom of the screen now. I'll just keep that running for now. If you use that link, bit.ly/h10 smashers, or even this one, that one. Yeah, there we go. Let's do that one so it's not trailing cross. If you use that, you will get 20% off for 6 months. It's, well worth the money. So what we need to do is press the Helium 10 Chrome extension. And to get that, it's a free Chrome extension. Go to Google, type Helium 10 Chrome extension, install it. And then if you don't see it here in the top right, it will be in this list here where you press this little jigsaw icon. So we're going to press the Helium 10 button. And then what will appear, for some reason, it's not showing for you guys, I guess, because of my share permissions. There'll be a drop down list and you want to press X-Ray Amazon Product Research. And as soon as you press that, it's going to load this here. So now we can see exactly how much money this Meditro seller is making, right? And we can see that the posture corrector, that has actually fallen a lot since they first started selling this years ago. I remember when I first came across this listing, they were doing about 100,000 a year, but as a month, sorry. But as the saturation has increased, you can see what's happened, can't you? The revenues have fallen. And the great thing about Helium 10 is you can have a look at what their historic sales have been. So if you click this icon here, we can have a look at all time. And you can see, can't you, that it only goes back a year or so, a year and a half. But I know for a fact that they historically, prior to that, they were doing a lot more. But the trend is down. Bit of a bad buy there from the aggregator. But in any case, let's not get lost there. You can see, can't you, how you can spend just hours just disappearing down rabbit holes. What I want to do is have a look at how their other products are doing. And you can see this one here, the Sports Calf Support, is their kind of top seller. So I would do that exercise first to help you understand which niche you should start exploring and seeing if there's an opportunity. So from initially looking at it, we can see that they're doing about £7,000 revenue a month. The review count is very high. So that kind of is going to suggest or may imply that there's, it's quite a bit of saturation competition. But I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt just to show you guys what I would do. So let's just ignore that, the fact that this niche is probably saturated. These are the steps that you need to follow. So you click into the ASIN. You can have a look at the listing as a whole and maybe judge for yourself if you think it can be improved. So the images, I guess because these guys are aggregators, that's it. It's this Zaba. The listing quality is probably going to be quite good. But let's have a look what else we can see. The bullet points, they look quite short, don't they? They're not really that punchy in terms of telling us what the problem is. Don't really entice me to read. But generally speaking, my kind of thought process at the moment is this niche is probably going to be quite saturated. But again, let's just pretend that it's not. What you would need to do is come down to this little plugin here, which is Helium 10. And where it says keywords, you want to press the keywords button. And what that is now going to do is load up one of Helium 10's keywords tools that will basically tell you what the best keyword or search term to use on Amazon is in order to see the lay of the land, in order to see what the most relevant sellers to this niche are doing in sales volumes. So as soon as this loads, what you'll need to type is organic rank, change that to 1 to 20, then change match type to organic, and then press apply filters. And then you'll scroll down, and where it says search volume, you'll press that and order it in the order of search volume, high to low. So we can see now that it looks like the most popular keyword, according to this, is calf compression sleeve men, which is interesting. It's not just calf compression sleeve. So if we now click into that, by pressing that icon there, we can now see what the most relevant sellers are to this niche. There are other ways of doing that exercise there. You could probably just have a guess and just kind of put in sports calf support or calf compression sleeve. But this method here that I've just shown you will typically show you the data, give you the search volumes that are associated with that search term that tells you what is the most applicable term to use. Okay, so as soon as you've done that, you'll then load the Helium 10 Chrome extension X-ray tool again. So you can either press it up here or you can press it down here. So we'll press it down here this time and we'll press X-ray. And what should now happen is we should see what all of the sellers in this niche are doing. So the first thing that you must always do as soon as this page, this tool here loads, is where it says filter results. You press that, and then where it says hide sponsored products from results, tick that and press apply. And the reason we do that is we don't want pay-per-click or ads to distort our sales figures, because those guys may not be there in that top search position much of the day, which could paint a false picture in terms of what the niche is doing if they're only there for an hour of the day, and so on. So we've removed those now. Another thing that a lot of people will often do when sending their product research to me is they'll press this revenue and they'll put it in order of revenue. Don't do that. It's always best to assess the results in the natural order that they appear on Amazon's search page. And the reason for that is you want to see how much money people are making on the front page. If someone in position 3 is only doing 3,000 and someone in position 20 is doing 10,000, that can be an indicator that you haven't used the right keyword. But if we look here, we can indeed see that the people towards the top of the search page are doing more than the people at the bottom, which does kind of give us another clue that we've used the right search term. Now, again, ignoring that this niche is quite saturated, just because it's one of those products that is very well established. It's not really a new product to customers on Amazon. It's been around for tons and tons of time. And it's a sort of product that you can't really improve upon it's just a product, isn't it, to support your calves. Ignoring all that, what would you do? Okay, so the first thing I would always do when assessing any product niche is take a look at where it says search volume. So you want to see something that is above ideally 800. If it's very, very low, and let's say, for example, it was 200, and you could see that all these sales were above 200, like in the thousands, again, that is another clue that you've used the wrong keyword, right? Because if you had used the right keyword, or the most relevant keyword, you'd always expect search volume is equivalent to customers typing on Amazon what they want to find. You would never expect that figure to be lower than these figures here on average, right? But we can see here that 2,050 people on average use this search term, and that's higher rather than the sales in the niche on average. So that again is another pointer that we've used the right keyword. So that's what I would use. That's what I would do. I would also press this graph chart here and just have a look at the trend. If you see that it plummets in the colder months and then spikes in the summer months, that would indicate that it's a trending niche, which is something that we ideally want to avoid. You don't have to, but if you want to have a business that generates revenues every single month of the year, it's always best to target those that aren't seasonal or trending. So that's passed the test so far. The next thing I would do is take a look at the price point. Now, my advice is try and go for products that are priced above £15. And that is purely because on a kind of like pound per unit basis, when you start making profit, if you go below that, it's not really going to be worth your while to sell unless you are doing really high volumes. So some of my products are priced underneath that £15 mark, but because they're high volume, some of them sell like 30, 40, 50 a day. It's worthwhile to me. But, you know, for some of these, let's say this one here, £8.99, and you're only selling 200 a month, you have to question, is it really worth it? Now, the one other point to just kind of make here is if you see lots of these units priced at £10 or below, that means that the seller is probably using a fulfillment program called the Small and Light program. I'm not going to go into detail on that in here, but it's essentially a program that Amazon offers where you get reduced fulfillment fees as cheap as £1.50 in some cases, provided that you sell your product at £10 or below and provided that the product is small. So whenever you see that, some products selling at £9.99 or less, Just bear that in mind, because these fees here are not going to be right. Helium 10 never assumes that they're doing the small and light program. So in order to calculate your profitability, if the product is priced less than that £10, you'll need to have a look at Amazon's fee card and see what the small and light fee is. So the price point for me is a little low. I typically like to go for something higher for a new product. Next, we'll have a look at the revenues. We can see some sellers doing a nice amount. Now, I always say, whenever you're looking at revenues, firstly, you need to understand or agree with yourself what your profit goal is per month. If your profit goal is something really high, like £10,000 profit a month, you can immediately see that this niche is not suitable, can't you? This one here, like, in order to make £10,000 profit per month, you need to be seeing 3 times that in the revenue. So 3 times 10,000 is 30,000. We need to be seeing sellers doing 30,000, and they're not. Whereas if your profit target was £1,000 a month, which I think is sensible to go for a first product, £1,000 times 3 is 3,000. How many sellers here are doing more than 3,000? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are lots. Try and aim for a niche that has a minimum of 5 sellers doing that 3 times, whatever your profit goal is. If you can see that, then there's enough demand in the niche. The next column that I would always look at is this one here. So the seller country region. There's no specific reason why I focus on this, like or reason that you have to, but often I just like to see how much of the niche is dominated by Chinese sellers. If it is crammed full of Chinese, so if this was a lot higher, say at 80% or so, then I'd probably say that might indicate that there's an opportunity for a Western business to come in to create a listing that resonates more with the Western consumer, because we have a better understanding of them than the Chinese do. Here, you can actually see, this is the first time I've seen this in a while anyway. The Chinese proportion of sellers is pretty low at a third, 31%. That again is another indicator that this could be a saturated niche. You'd have to do a bit more digging into the listings to take a look, but all the kind of warning signs, the red flags at the moment, are saying that this niche is saturated. So fees is the column that adds up Amazon's referral fee and fulfillment fee. I would always use my profit calculator when checking what the profit margin is. I'm just going to see if I've got that listed anywhere. No, I don't. So if you want to see what my profit calculator is, if you go to jansonsmith.com, it's my new website, I put it on here, and then go to the resources section, you can download my free Amazon profit calculator, and you'll be able to calculate the fees exactly. You can use Helium 10 as a guesstimate, but honestly, don't rely on it too heavily. The next thing I would be looking at are the ratings. So typically, if a niche has a very low rating score, like this one does, that indicates that there could be an opportunity for you to improve upon the product further. Don't just think because you can find a couple of customers complaining about the quality of a product or the packaging or so on, that is an ultimate tick mark for you to go steaming ahead and place an order. You need to do your diligence, make sure everything stacks up, and make sure that anything that you're changing about the product or improving is something that is actually going to be valued by a customer, or even something that the customer can see that you've got before purchasing. So having better packaging, things like that, that is probably not going to give you the edge in a very saturated and competitive niche like that, like this. But that's just a couple of points for you there. Review count, again, do not pay too much attention to this. Like, don't get bogged down and be like, oh, the niche has got more than 500 reviews on average, therefore I'm going to ignore it. Just look at the review count as an indicator that the niche might be saturated. It's giving you a clue. All of these things that I've run through, so the number of Chinese sellers, the review count, the review score, these are all clues. You still need to do some digging and research and make your own mind up. But here, for example, 20,000 reviews, the average review count of 2,000, that is kind of giving us a clue amongst all the other clues that we've had that this is a saturated niche. And then the final thing that I would look at for now, before I decided whether I want to do a bit more digging, is the number of images, right? And you might be questioning, why is that? Well, if you can see that loads of these sellers don't have many images, so they've got maybe 2 or 3, that is a clue that their listings aren't optimized, and that you can come in, you can offer more images that persuade the customer more, that give more information about your brand and the product in order to steal their sales. So there's a lot of information that you can glean from this one tool alone, Helium 10's X-ray tool. So that's kind of the step-by-step process that I always follow. Whilst this niche here is not suitable, I would not advise you to go ahead and start looking into it more deeply. What I would advise you guys to do is copy that Store Radar approach. Just start off with an initial product, have a look at what other products those relevant sellers are selling, and then just do what I've just done. Run Helium 10 on the right keyword, then run Helium 10 on the niche as a whole, and then go through each column step by step and tick off whether it's a pass, a question mark, or a fail. And if it's a fail, skip it and move on. If it's a question mark, do a bit more diligence. If it's a tick, do more diligence. Okay. This stage here is all about discovering product ideas and that initial verification to see whether you found a niche that could be worth exploring further. So that is it. It was just a short 20-minute tutorial. I hope that you have enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions, guys, and speak soon.